News Talk 1070 KHMO presents On the Mark with Mark Hespin. News Talk 1070 KHMO presents On the Mark with Mark Hespin. On the Mark is powered by Kunis Country Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area at 221 North 36th Street, Quincy. Faith, family, and giving back. That's Kunis Country. And now, here's Mark Hespin.
Good morning, Tri-States, and wherever you may be listening on the News Talk 1070 KHMO app. This is On the Mark. I am Mark Hespin, brought to you by the great people over at Kunis Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the Tri-State area, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. You got to ask them about that lifetime powertrain, no fear warranty on new and used vehicles. Tell them Mark sent you. Thank you so much for making me a part of your Saturday. Dogwood Saturday here in the Quincy area, May 4th. May the 4th be with you, as they would say in the Star Wars world. I think that's actually the parade theme this year. If you're heading into the Quincy area, hopefully going to be nice weather this morning. Make it through the parade and have some fun. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. As always, follow me on all social media, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube. We've been adding YouTube videos left and right at Mark Hespin, MarkHespen. If you are listening on the terrestrial radio, you can always follow along the show on Facebook. Just search On the Mark KHMO on Facebook. All right. Episode 234 of On the Mark. And I look at the landscape of the sports world that we're in right now, and it's such a unique time. We now have pretty much every NFL team set, right? The rosters are 95, 96, 7, 8% set. There's going to be some small tweaks. You're going to have some cuts during training camp. Some guys will earn a spot. But for the most part, the main free agents are signed. We even have Zeke Elliott signing. We'll talk about at the end of the show here. And so I want to kick off the show, talk a little football. We'll then talk, to me, what is going to be the best matchup of the NBA playoffs in totality. It starts today, Minnesota versus Denver. I think it's the Western Conference Finals. I think it could be the finals. The winner of this series might just absolutely walk and win it on all. I'll talk about why I like that matchup so much. We will talk NBA free agency. People are already speculating about LeBron James and where he might end up come next year. We'll have some fun with that. And then we'll wrap up the show with a couple quick hitter topics, including the Bears' new stadium and the word from Governor J.B. Pritzker here in Illinois on it. Well, let's get the show started. Hespin headline number one.
Hespin's headlines on the Mark.
I have a couple predictions that I feel comfortable making. Now, these aren't, set in stone. These are, everything's still a little asterisk, subject to change. Like, I'll do my final predictions of winners of the divisions and winners of, wild card spots and all of that come August, right before the season officially kicks off for the NFL. But I feel pretty good today here in early May, on this May 4th, telling you that I have 5 predictions I'm really, really confident in. And then there's one other kind of floater subject in the NFL that I want to touch on here. So let me give you these 5 predictions that I'm standing by as of right now. Obviously, injuries, training camp things, subject to change. But these are 5 things I feel pretty darn confident in right now in the NFL, heading into training camp, OTAs, and everything else. Number 1, in the post-draft NFL landscape, I feel very confident in saying I predict the Broncos are going to finish 4th in the AFC West. The Broncos have the worst roster in the AFC West. The Broncos, I have the worst starting quarterback in the AFC West, whoever even starts for them. Certainly worse than Gardner Minshew, Justin Herbert, and Patrick Mahomes. And they are in a cap situation and in an unfortunate roster situation where they just don't have difference makers. There's no one besides Patrick Surtain on the defensive side that I fear, that I look at as like an A talent. And there's no one on the offensive side that I look at as an A talent. Even their go-to weapon in a Courtland Sutton, you'd really prefer him to be kind of your high-end number 2 wide receiver as opposed to your wide receiver number 1. when you talk about the person the other team they'd be competing with for fourth place in the division, try to not be in the bottom, obviously be the Vegas Raiders. I like a lot more about the Raiders than I do the Broncos. They are going into this year with stability at the head coaching position, and they have with Antonio Pierce, a guy they believe in who's built a culture there at the end of the year that was really viable and really palpable. They have a more than capable starting quarterback in Gardner Minshew, a guy who's not going to let them bottom out. He's talented enough to win games and to be competitive in the modern NFL. We've seen that. They have weapons all across the field. 2 tight ends that I love in Brock Bowers and McDonald. They have a go-to number 1 wide receiver in Devontae Adams. They have an emerging young offensive line. There's a lot to like. Obviously, they have A-plus players on defense with guys like Max Crosby as well. Way more talent on the roster than the Denver Broncos. Now, you could argue, well, Sean Payton versus Antonio Pierce, fine. You can beat that to the cows come home. I feel confident in saying I think this Denver Broncos team has a huge hill to climb. They have the 4th best quarterback in a division that includes the best quarterback maybe ever, but right now certainly the best quarterback in football, Patrick Mahomes. I just don't see how they are anywhere but a 4th place finishing team in the AFC West. My next prediction that I feel really confident in post-NFL draft, that is that the Buffalo Bills offense, it's not going to miss a beat. People are really, oh my God, Stephon Diggs is gone and Josh Allen, who is he going to? It's actually a nice young wide receiver core, a prove-it wide receiver core. You have your deep threat over-the-top guy in Shakir. You have Keon Coleman, who you expect to come in and be your big play, go grab a ball type of wide receiver, go-to number 1. And then Curtis Samuel, a really solid wide receiver number 3, a veteran that Josh Allen can rely on those third down situations, 3rd and short. That's a solid wide receiver core with an absolute stud tight end in Dalton Kincaid, who became Josh Allen's go-to number 1 guy. I think he'll still be the number 1 guy going into next year. And then you add in James Cook, the running back, and obviously Josh Allen. And the offensive line is solid. It's not top 10 in the league, but it's certainly not bottom 10 in the league. So you get all those things. I think the Buffalo Bills offense is going to be fine this year. People are all up in arms and panicking about the Buffalo Bills. I think they're, would I love it if Buffalo had found a way to add a Mike Evans this offseason plus a Keon Coleman or whatever? Sure. Yeah, I would have loved that. But they didn't. But they did replace the production you would expect that you get from a Stephon Diggs with a different type of wide receiver and a young guy who's a prove-it guy, wants to prove he deserved to be a first-round pick, going to become Josh Allen's best friend. And honestly, I think there's a chance this offense could just flow better purely because you get the big personality Stephon Diggs out of there. None of those guys I just listed, Kincaid, Cook, Keon Coleman, Samuel, Shakir, are worry about their attitude, how they'll mesh with Josh Allen or like demanding the ball. I think this is going to be an unselfish offense that really came alive in the second half of the season, and I can't wait to watch it to start off the year. I think people are making too much about Buffalo and having no weapons. I think Buffalo's offense, my prediction, they won't skip a beat. Prediction number 3 in the post-draft NFL predictions. This is one I could make any time of the year. I feel confident in saying this. I will continue to feel confident saying this, especially since the head coach and the front office just got a big extension, and so did the tight end. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the AFC West. Anyone else who's sitting there and goes, well, actually, I think Harbaugh and the Chargers, they got a chance. I'm predicting them to win the AFC West. They're dumb. Don't listen to them. The only correct prediction before the season starts for the winner for the AFC West is the Kansas City Chiefs. They are the winners of the AFC West. I'm going to put it down now, put money on it now, make yourself a little scratch, a little dough. They re-sign Kelsey. They get their over-the-top threat weapon in the first round. Mahomes has got his deal. He's set. Offensive line, they're bringing back the group. Defense, they bring back Chris Jones. Yeah, they lost a little on the back end of that defense, but you trust the coaching staff to make up for that. This is a Kansas City team I'm not afraid of at all. The only slight worry is what's going on with Rashee Rice and what will his availability be. So I will just say, in all honesty, that's the only thing that is a little bit of a caveat. But even then, this team, this coaching staff, everything about them screams consistency. Everything about them screams they're going to be absolutely a threat once again to win the Super Bowl. Mahomes is there. He's happy. He's healthy. He's got Travis Kelce. He's got a new deal. He's happy and healthy. They had a new piece on offense. The defense still has their key playmakers. No missing a beat. Don't overthink it. Don't overbake it. Denver's going to not be good. The Raiders will be feisty. I think the Chargers are going to be a really fun, exciting team to watch to see what they do with their new offensive staff. But the Kansas City Chiefs, that's right, the Chiefs, they are going to be the winners of the AFC West. Moving on. My next prediction, post-NFL draft predictions, the NFC North right now, in my opinion, will have 3 teams in the playoffs. I don't know who. I'll tell you, one of them is going to be Detroit. Detroit's going to make the NFC playoffs. I think 2 other teams from the NFC North are going to make the playoffs, whether that's the Bears, the Packers, the Vikings. I'm not going to put that out there yet, but I think there's going to be 3 teams from the NFC North at the playoffs. To me, my gut tells me the Niners and the Rams make the playoffs, which means early on my feeling is pretty strong. The NFC South, you got to win to get in. And then in the NFC East, you're going to have to win to get in. I don't see Washington and New York Giants as playoff teams. I think that Dallas is going to be in a very precarious year. It feels like the coach and the quarterback are playing for their jobs, and they're only got CeeDee Lamb. If CeeDee Lamb pulls a hamstring week 3 and misses 3 or 4 weeks, where does this team go to with the football? With Zeke? So Dallas, I think, is going to be very, very much an interesting follow this year. And then Philadelphia. Listen, Philadelphia was one of the worst playoff teams in recent memory. They were awful last year. They fell apart and just fell into the playoffs, and everyone hated each other. And, yeah, I like a lot of their offseason moves. I like their draft. But can that coaching staff get it together? No Jason Kelce in that locker room. No Fletcher Cox in that locker room anymore. So I do think someone's going to win the NFC East. My gut is Philadelphia. Dallas will be right there. Someone's going to win the NFC South. My gut is Atlanta. I think that Tampa Bay is going to be right there. I just feel like the NFC North teams are going to, 2 of them are going to pop beyond the winner, which I think will be Detroit. And I don't think it'll be shocking when we say there are 3 teams from the NFC North in the playoffs in 2025. That's my prediction right now. My gut tells me the NFC North is going to have 3 playoff teams to start by the end of next football season. My final prediction, okay, this is a prediction for the the post-NFL draft predictions. Then I have one more thing I just want to touch on with the NFL that I can't fit in any other point of the show, so I'm just going to go on a little rant about it. But my final prediction for the in the post-NFL draft predictions here in the NFL, the AFC South is going to be fun. I can just tell you right now, the AFC South is going to just be so much fun to watch, so much fun to talk about. Trevor Lawrence in a contract year. C.J. Stroud, can he avoid the sophomore slump? And they add Stephon Diggs. Anthony Richardson, hopefully fully healthy with that young offense, with Michael Pittman Jr., with Taylor, the running back. You then have an NFC South team in Tennessee that we all think is poo-poo, but they have an incredible wide receiver core. They have an improved offensive line. They have an offensive head coach who has just come from the system in Cincinnati, and he's bringing that with him to Tennessee, and then young Will Levis. You have these 3 young quarterbacks, second-year quarterbacks, and then Trevor Lawrence going into year 5 and needing to have a pop year, going into year 4, right? This is year 4 for that draft class. They already picked up the 5th-year option, but kind of fighting for that idea of the contract, right? It's a really, really interesting, fun AFC South. The AFC South is going to be, I mean, a bloodbath in a lot of ways. I mean, all these teams believing in their young quarterbacks. Whoever finishes 4th in that division, there's going to be a lot of like, is this the guy? Is this the guy? You know, if it's Richardson, if it's Levis, if Stroud goes from 1st to 4th, it's going to be really, really fun. And if you are a fan of one of those teams in the AFC South, you should feel good about your team. It's like a lot like the NFC North. The NFC North and the AFC South are like the same thing. Every one of you should feel good going in, and then one of you is going to finish 4th, and you're going to be like, how did that happen? And what do we need to do or change? It's just going to be fun. So those are my 5 predictions post-NFL draft. The Broncos are going to finish 4th. The Bills' offense is not going to miss a beat. The Chiefs are going to win the AFC West. Don't overthink it. The NFC North are going to have 3 playoff teams. And the AFC South is going to be fun. You can't wait to watch it. Finally, I do want to mention, Trevor Lawrence got the 5th-year option picked up. That's good. But Lawrence, Love, Goff, and Dak. Now, Goff, Dak, and Love are in legitimately the final years of their deal. Trevor Lawrence, you'd like him to have a big year. He's in this spot. They've already picked up the 5th-year option. He'll be the starter in Jacksonville next year no matter what anyways. But these 4 guys are playing for contracts. They are playing for contracts. And we've seen it in the past with Joe Flacco being the best example. When he was in the contract year, he bet on himself, led the Ravens to a Super Bowl. He got a giant 5-year deal. Dak, Goff, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence. One of those guys is going to have a big year and is going to earn that contract. My gut says it's Trevor Lawrence. And for Goff and Love, it'll be really interesting because Love's never had the big payday. Goff has. I think Goff is in a position where he needs to lead his team back to the playoffs to just prove, hey, I'm the guy. Let's go on a run here. The window's open. I'll maybe take a little less, but give me the 4 or 5 years. Give me 4 or 5 years, and I'll take only maybe $100 million guarantee because I've already made the big money. And so I want to be in this situation. I want to stay here and win. So Goff's really playing for, hey, choose me. Don't draft a guy to take my spot. And I'll maybe take a little less, right? Love is playing for, I want to get paid. I want that $200 million guaranteed deal like Kyler Murray got, like Russell Wilson got. And so for Jordan Love, it's about stats. It's about winning the division or making the playoffs again and going deep in the playoffs again and putting up big numbers along the way, having an MVP type of year. Can he do that? If Jordan Love has the type of year he had last year, do you sign Jordan Love? What kind of deal do you sign Jordan Love to? Because listen, last year it ended strong, and then he threw a horrible pick in the playoffs to cost them a chance to beat the Niners, even though they played better than the Niners in San Francisco. He was the error with the interception. So really interesting scenario for Jordan Love. And then with Dak Prescott, we're going to talk a ton about this. Will he get a deal done before the season starts? If not, Dak is absolutely not only playing for his career in Dallas, but playing for, hey, who in the NFL wants to take a swing at Dak Prescott next year, right? So we'll look out for Dak, Goff, and Love especially. I mean, all 3 of these guys are playing for a ton. And Trevor Lawrence is, yes, he's going to be the starter in Jacksonville next year no matter what, but he wants to lock up that deal and not be worried about it. So having a big year for him, getting back on top, making the playoffs, winning that division, throwing for 30 touchdowns and less than 15 interceptions and leading the Jags back to prominence in the AFC South is going to be extremely important for him in his financial future and his future as being the long-term starter in Jacksonville. Fascinating stuff. You're listening on the Mark News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app, brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai, your number 1 Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. You got to ask about that lifetime powertrain warranty on new and used vehicles. Tell them Mark sent you. When we come back, talk a little NBA playoffs.
Children are the greatest joy and our best hope for a better future. Friends, they are the future. But did you know that millions of kids right here in our own backyard are facing hunger every day? Without healthy food, it's harder to grow, to thrive, to feel their best.
The impact when children don't have enough to eat is tremendous because when you're hungry and your basic needs aren't being met, you cannot learn.
Every child deserves to be fed. This is a problem we know how to solve. Food is not just food. It's energy, health, confidence, hope, and even love. Yes, love.
Breakfast in the classroom contributes to kids being more focused, which leads to higher grades, and simply just their well-being.
Learn more about how No Kid Hungry is helping end child hunger in America at helpnokidhungry.org.
From the Salvation Army, welcome to Heartbeat.
Mark Twain once said, "My life has been filled with calamities, some of which actually happened." We laugh at his comment because we can see ourselves in it. But worry is no joke. It causes serious problems, psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. Most of our stress comes from worrying about things that might happen in the future. And yet, research shows that 85% of what we worry about never happens. This means that only 15% of all that you worry about is even worth it. What a waste! The Bible tells us not to worry. 1 Peter chapter 5 says to cast all your anxieties onto God because He cares for you. God knows our needs. He cares and He will provide.
For more episodes of Heartbeat, visit SalvationArmyRadio.org.
1070 KHMO.
Welcome on back to On the Mark here on News Talk 1070 KHMO. The KHMO app brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. You know, what's so unique about Kunis Honda Hyundai is their absolute gigantic network of dealers. I talk all the time, if you want a new Honda, a new Hyundai, obviously, they're the place to go. If you want a used vehicle, they're the place to go. Over 3,000 new and used vehicles to choose from. But if you're here in the Quincy-Hannibal area and you're saying to yourself, Mark, I really want a brand new Jeep or I really want a brand new Toyota, but I want that Kunis lifetime powertrain warranty, stop into Kunis Honda Hyundai, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. Ask them about it. See what they could do for you. They have brand new Toyota dealers in the network. New Ram, Jeep, Dodge, insert GMC, insert name here, Chevy. They have all of those in the Kunis family. I got my truck from Kunis. It's not a Honda Hyundai. Same way. They just brought it on down to me to here in the Quincy. A day later, just test drive it, drove off the lot, signed the paperwork, good to go. Kunis Honda Hyundai, they are special. 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. Tell them Mark sent you. All right, let's jump into it. Hespin headline number 2.
Hespin's headlines on the Mark.
Okay. The Western Conference Finals are officially underway. I know. It's only round 2 of the NBA playoffs, but the Western Conference Finals, they start today. Because the Nuggets are playing the Timberwolves. And the winner of this series, I firmly believe, I've seen everything I need to see so far in the playoffs to say, the winner of the Nuggets versus the Timberwolves will win the West. Not only will they win the West, I believe the winner of this series, you should put money on to win the NBA Finals. Now, no. If Porzingis comes back 100% healthy and they could rest him through the Eastern Conference playoffs, Porzingis fully healthy with the Celtics, I think would be a really tough matchup for the Timberwolves or for the Nuggets. But you could probably get good money on the Nuggets or the Timberwolves to win the NBA title. Whoever wins this series, I think they have a really great path. I think this is going to be a 7-game series. I think this is going to be an all-time great one. I'm taking Denver to win it, but it wouldn't shock me at all if Minnesota is able to pull this off. This young Minnesota team is really impressive. Anthony Edwards so far in the playoffs is averaging 31, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. Incredible. You have then the size of Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, Naz Reid. They can handle, they're one of the few teams that can handle Denver's size. It was what the Lakers struggled with so much, is they could just keep throwing bodies at LeBron and Anthony Davis because of Jokic, because of Aaron Gordon, because of Michael Porter Jr. Well, Timberwolves have an answer for all of that. Cat, Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert. Physical, big. They can throw bodies at Jokic, and they don't have to worry then about Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon, because they have Cat and Rudy Gobert, Naz Reid. The front court of this is going to be so much fun to watch. You also, I think McDaniels for the Timberwolves has been a real surprise. He is a young player. I think he's like 21, 22 years old, averaging 14 and 5 in the sweep of in the last round over the Suns, and having to guard Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. I mean, he had an extremely tough assignment, and he handled it brilliantly while also contributing on the other end. McDaniels, if he can play like that in this series against the Nuggets, well, I mean, it's just another long body, athletic body to throw at this Nuggets team that I don't know if the Nuggets have an answer for all of that. What the Nuggets have, though, is the best player on the planet. Jokic against Anthony Davis, a defensive player of the year, 28 points, 16 rebounds, and almost 10 assists a game, 9.8 assists a game. The Joker is just, he's unbelievable. He's going to win his third MVP. He is the best player on the planet. He's leading his team to looks like it could be back-to-back titles. Jokic is putting together a stretch of basketball right now that is just rarefied air. He is in rare air. And when you get the contributions of Murray and Porter Jr. combined averaging 47 points, Murray 24 points in that first series, Porter Jr. 23. If Porter Jr. shoots like that and scores like that in round 2, I just don't know how you stop this team. I don't know. The only way you do it is with the size and the length of the Timberwolves. I think it's going to be a great series. I think the home teams will win the first 4. I think you'll see a 2-2 series going back to Denver. Denver gets the win in game 5. Minnesota gets the win in game 6. Denver gets the win in game 7. I really think it could be a 7-gamer. Really do. The only way it doesn't go 7 games is if Jokic just has a really continues to have a special series, because he's so good that even Cat, Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert, like you say, oh, I throw all these guys at him. He's so good at distributing to Aaron Gordon, who averaged 14 to 10 against the Lakers, to get it to Porter Jr., to get to Murray. He has faith in his guys. I do think that the Nuggets have an experience advantage. They have a coaching advantage of Michael Malone. They have the best player on the planet advantage. But Anthony Edwards is a dog. And Anthony Edwards, I firmly believe, is the next great American superstar. He is the guy that you want as the American, face of the league. Yes, Wemby. Yes, Jokic. Yes, Giannis. Yes, Luka. The foreign-born players, Joel Embiid. There's a lot of great ones, and they're going to be there. But when you look at the Americans, Zion, Jason Tatum, John Morant, and Edwards is the guy. He's the man. He's the dog, and he really feels like kind of a second coming of Michael Jordan. He feels more like Michael Jordan than Kobe, in the sense he doesn't feel like Kobe. Tatum feels like a mix of Kobe and Durant, but more of the Durant lackadaisical, I'm just a basketball player, I'm just a scorer, not the killer instinct that Kobe has. And Anthony Edwards looks like a carbon copy of Michael Jordan right now in his young career. It's just incredible the way he attacks, he's physical, explodes at the rim. This is the Western Conference Finals. Whoever wins this series is winning the West. Now, OKC will have something to say about that because they're young and they're going to run and they're going to have an easier path, I think, to getting to the Western Conference Finals, as far as they could take care of Dallas the Clippers in 5 or 6 games. I think it's going to be a bloodbath, Minnesota versus Denver. But whoever wins is winning the West. I'm going to take Denver to win. I'm going to take Denver in 7. And I believe Denver right now is absolutely the team to beat in the NBA playoffs in total. I think Denver absolutely should be the favorites right now, especially with not knowing the length of Porzingis' injury and where he will be at health-wise if and when he comes back. If Porzingis can rest through the second round and Boston can cruise and take care of the second round opponent and win that series in 4 or 5 games as well, that's great. Get all the rest they need, and then Boston will be a real threat if they end up in the NBA Finals to any of these teams. If Boston gets upset and it's any other team in the East that comes to the NBA Finals, chalk. Whoever wins the West is winning it. Whether it's Denver, OKC, Minnesota, whoever wins the West, Mavs, Clips, whoever wins it, they're going to win the finals for sure. I'm riding with Denver at this point in time. When we come back, take a quick break. When we come back, I want to stay in the world of the NBA. A little free agency talk, okay? Little free agency talk. There is some big names that could be on the move that are unrestricted free agents or have player options they could decline, including one Mr. LeBron James. And I'll just say what I think. There's a couple factors in how free agency will play out for some of these guys, and I'll get into all of that next. You're listening on the Mark News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app. We are brought to you by the great people over at Kunis Honda Hyundai, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. You got to ask about that lifetime powertrain, no fear warranty on new and used vehicles. Just stop by the dealership this weekend, Dogwood weekend. You've seen all the beautiful cars in the parade. You want to get yourself a new ride? Stop by Kunis Honda Hyundai, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. Tell them Mark sent you.
What is dedication?
My daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. If there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanting to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Times of transition, whether from a sad event or a joyful one, can leave us feeling adrift. Social connections become even more important. Being isolated and lonely can be harmful to your health. It can lead to high blood pressure, a greater risk of heart disease, and early onset dementia. So it's important to build and maintain connections to people whose relationships bring meaning to your life. Try a new hobby, volunteer, exercise, or use your phone or other device to stay in touch. These can be great ways to keep up your social connections and your physical and mental well-being. Visit connecttoeffect.org to see if you're at risk of social isolation and find ways to stay connected. Presented by AARP Foundation with support from United Healthcare.
Here is your weatherology forecast from the News Talk 1070 KHMO Weather Center. Thunderstorms likely today. Otherwise, cloudy skies expected. Daytime highs approaching 80. Winds out of the southwest, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Overcast skies tonight. Chance of thunderstorms, 49. Currently, 68.
Welcome on back to On the Mark here on News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app, brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area. 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. You got to ask about that lifetime powertrain, no fear warranty on new and used vehicles. Tell them Mark sent you. All right, we're making our way here through the show. Thank you so much for making me a part of your Saturday morning. As always, you can follow me on all social media at Mark Hespin. That's Twitter/X, Instagram, and YouTube. If you want, I posted a video earlier this week on the YouTube channel, my kind of laying out why I really think that the Denver Broncos are going to struggle this upcoming season, why I think they made a bad decision when they were drafting. So I just posted a YouTube video on that a couple days ago. Try to do Wednesday weekly updates to the YouTube channel, including stuff like realistic expectations for Caleb Williams, his first year, breaking down Team USA men's basketball. It's just fun stuff like that. So you can check all of that out on the YouTube channel. All right, I want to jump into it here. The NBA free agency is going to be a big topic. It already has started. LeBron James is a free agent. And one of the things you're going to see a ton here now as we talk free agency and as this headlines keep growing over the next couple weeks as the playoffs start to wind down and you get teams exiting the playoffs, and what do they need to do? We already see it with Phoenix. Do you blow it on up? Already see it with the Lakers. Do you blow it on up? LeBron's a free agent. So there are some big names. There's some big names. LeBron, PG-13, Klay Thompson, Tobias Harris, James Harden, Pascal Siakam, DeMar DeRozan, OG Anunoby, who's been great for the New York Knicks. All these guys hitting the free agency market. So I want to touch on LeBron here really quickly. LeBron, I think, is going to absolutely delay this as long as he can. And the Olympics are going to be a part of this. You know, the Olympic roster is this meeting up of the biggest of the biggest in the world of the NBA, right? And so not only that, but once you're actually at the Olympics, you're meeting there with all the other great international players. And these guys, come on, they talk. They know. They plan things out. LeBron said that 2008 Olympics team and that roster was one of the big reasons why he ended up going to Miami and taking his talents to South Beach after playing with D. Wade and all those guys, realizing, wait a minute, this is what it's like to play with other superstars and other great players. Really the start of the super team era. You could draw it right back to that 2008 Redeem team. And so I do think this Olympics is going to be interesting. You have Steph, you have KD, you have LeBron, all these guys who are now not even in the second round of the playoffs, right? They are not wanting to give up. They're not wanting to give up their thrones at the top of the NBA mountain. And you have guys like Jokic and Giannis and Luka and Anthony Edwards and Jason Tatum stealing their turf, right? Infringing on their God-given right as the three alpha males and the three, apex predators in the NBA. I truly believe it's not out of the realm of possibility for LeBron and KD to consider big moves this offseason. Now, KD would have to demand a trade, and there would have to be a team like New York or an OKC with a ton of assets to go get a KD. And what's so interesting about New York is that New York, the Knicks, they have the ability to get KD without blowing it all up, right? Like you keep Jalen Brunson and KD and a lot of those young up-and-coming players, they have draft picks they could give the Phoenix Suns in return. I think KD probably stays in Phoenix because Matt Ishbia, the new owner, wants to keep his superstars together, and I don't think he's going to willingly do that. I think he's going to try to be aggressive and make his team better with however that's possible. And I do think that LeBron is going to be the one that legitimately considers a big move. Depending on where his son goes and what his son's plans are. And I do think that he will strongly consider the Warriors, the 76ers. I think he'll strongly consider the New York Knicks. I think he'll strongly consider the Cleveland Cavs. I think LeBron is in this point where he says, hey, I've won 4 rings in 4 different places. In Los Angeles, 4 rings in 3 different places. Los Angeles, in Miami, and in Cleveland. If I could win a 4th ring in a different place, that would, a 5th ring in a different place, 4 places, that would really help me in the 6 for 6 debate with MJ, right? And so I think LeBron James is very, very smart, and I think he's very, very nose to the ground on stuff like this. I think the teams to watch out for LeBron James this offseason would be the Lakers, number 1, staying in L.A., and trying to convince a PG-13 to move across the street. trying to convince James Harden to move across the street. Time to try to convince Pascal Siakam or OG Anunoby to come out to L.A. Those would be great fits. Try to convince DeMar DeRozan to come out to L.A. Those would be great fits with him and Anthony Davis, right? A Siakam with Anthony Davis and LeBron would be an amazing fit. Amazing fit. And would help them with their troubles they have against the length and the scoring of Denver and Minnesota. So I think LeBron's going to try to recruit. But if not, I really do think him as a free agent signing with the Knicks and not having to give anything up, that would be huge. And if he brought the Knicks a title in the Mecca, if he was able to do that, that would be gigantic for his legacy. I also think LeBron James is very interested in Philadelphia. Tyrese Maxey's emerged as a star. They obviously have Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is a guy that I think LeBron James really likes and likes the idea of playing with a guy like Joel. Problem is Joel's injury history, I think, worries him, and he's already dealing with injury-prone Anthony Davis. I can see LeBron James considering those two places, New York, and then I think in the West, if he stays in the West, besides LA, I think there's only one other place, and that's Golden State. And I think LeBron is smart enough to realize the Golden State thing would not only help his legacy, right? Hey, the Warriors have now been down since KD left. They won the one, but now they've had 2 down years. Him and Steph, the old heads, teaming up to win one more, and that would really hurt KD's legacy. That it would be like, oh, yeah, see, KD only won it in Golden State. LeBron won it everywhere and in Golden State. So I think LeBron James would consider those 4 places. If he ended up anywhere else, I got to be honest, I'd be a little surprised. Unless he was just like, hey, I want to go play with Luka just because. Or I want to go play with Giannis in Milwaukee just because. That wouldn't shock me too greatly, but it would be interesting enough and something to keep our eyes on. You listen on the Mark News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app, brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. Your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer. Tell them Mark sent you. All right, when we come back, a couple quick hitter topics to wrap up the show, all football related. I know, NBA and NFL. It's what's dominating right now. I will say, shout out to my Cubs. They're battling right now. Shota Imanaga, ERA is ridiculous. They don't even have Justin Steele. They're number 8. They're number 1 right now. Cody Bellinger's out. Cubs are to me, it feeling a lot like 16. Feels a lot like 16. I'm just going to say it. Feels a lot like 16. But no, that's my only chance to talk baseball. I got some NFL stories to wrap it up next on the Mark. News Talk 1070 KHMO.
Sean Hannity. What you can clearly see here is a president that is extraordinarily fearful to defend American interest in the world. Attacks on U.S. forces in the Middle East, in Iraq, and Syria. We've had air bases attack one after another. I don't think Joe Biden's response is going to really stop the Syrians controlled by Iran.
Join me, Sean Hannity, every weekday 2 to 5. It's all happening right here on 1070 KHMO, the news, talk, and sports leader.
1070 KHMO.
Welcome on back to On the Mark here on News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app, brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. Got to ask about that lifetime powertrain warranty, the no fear warranty on new and used vehicles. Tell them Mark sent you. All right, I want to start wrapping up the show here talking about the fact that we had some interesting kind of little headlines out of the NFL here that I didn't have time to touch on at the beginning of the show, so I wanted to kind of hit on them at the end of the show. First and foremost, the one that I think just kind of made my jaw drop a little bit, but also when we talked about these new kickoff rules, I said you're going to see special teams coaches and teams trying to get as creative and clever as possible. So the headline out of the Pittsburgh Steelers, possibility of Justin Fields returning kicks. Now, they did go on to say, like, listen, it's a long shot, but he is really special with the ball in his hands. It's true. Justin Fields, in the open field with the ball in his hands, may be one of the top 10 players in the NFL in that world. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think a lot of that is going to come down to, depending on who wins the starting job And if Justin has a chance to play or to start, obviously he's not going to do that. It would be interesting to see, though. It would be interesting to see. And I will say, you're going to see, I think, teams like the Saints do things with Taysom Hill. Obviously, I think another team, I think it was the Steelers that brought in Cordell Patterson. Like, this kickoff thing is going to make coaches and teams do some weird kind of wacky stuff. And this is one of them. Hearing Justin Fields might be returning kicks was not something I was expecting to read earlier this week. But that's where we're at with this new rule in the NFL. Next, I want to quickly mention the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, has basically said, listen, what the Bears proposed in the city of Chicago is just not happening. They're in the hardball talking stages, right? This is hardball talking stages. I will say this. This is exactly what I expected J.B. Pritzker to say. I expected him to come out strongly on this. I expected them to basically say, listen, we have priorities as a state, and we're not spending any money on a new stadium for the Chicago Bears. The city of Chicago is going to lobby this, hopefully, and the mayor correctly in saying, listen, it's not just the Bears. This isn't the Bears get to own the stadium. It's building it for the city of Chicago. It's a public works project. That's what it is. It's a $4 billion public works project. This is on city-owned land. It's a city park. The city is going to own the stadium. The Bears are willing to give up all of that, and they're willing to pay for half of it. So saying, listen, you're getting a $4 billion public works project. It's an incredible revitalization, redevelopment, adding green space to the city that desperately, needs good press, good revitalization, and work done on it. And we're getting all of that at a 50% cost. That's how they're going to try to sell it. And eventually, I think they have a strong case for making it go through. It may not go through as quickly as the Bears and the city of Chicago had hoped for, but I don't think just because J.B. Pritzker said, listen, I don't like the sound of this, it's not a priority. I don't think that means the idea that the Bears pitched with that beautiful dome stadium, reusing old Soldier Field in a new park and new way, I don't think that's dead and gone by any means necessary. I really don't. So watch how the Bears reframe this and the city reframes it. Again, the Bears are going to say, listen, we want to stay in Chicago. The mayor came up with a great plan. The architects did a great idea, and we're willing to donate $2 billion to the city and the state to get this project done and staying in Chicago, bringing the revenue to Chicago. And so I think there is a real chance of this being pitched in the right way and coming through. So we'll see. Finally, last story, Zeke is back in Big D in Dallas. Can I say this about this move? I think this is, again, a warning sign for us all. Look at the signs on the wall. What did Jerry Jones do in the draft? He went and got offensive line. What did he not do during free agency? He didn't do anything. He literally did nothing during free agency. This Dallas season is going to be about two things. It's going to be about Dak and Mike McCarthy. Jerry Jones is going to say, listen, I'm not going out. I didn't go out there and I didn't overspend on weapons. I didn't put our team in a bad position for the future. This Dallas team is actually in a really solid position for the future by not having signed Dak to a big long-term deal yet. And I hope, if you're a Dallas fan, I would be very, very, very encouraging on all social media, because I think Jerry sees a lot of it, and on radio, to continue to tell Jerry, don't sign Dak. Don't sign Dak. Let him play it out. Let him play it out. Dak knows being a Cowboy is good for his brand. He doesn't want to leave the Cowboys. So you're not going to slight Dak by him forcing him to play this year without a long-term deal. If he balls out and he's amazing and he finally gets to an NFC Championship game or Super Bowl with this roster, well, then you say, yeah, he's worth every penny. But if he plays what we expect him to play, there's no way you can sign him to a $60 million a year deal. You just can't do it.